Hi guys, welcome to another Road Pilgrim car review, and today we have the very beautiful Mercedes-Benz SL55 AMG on review with us today. And for those of you who don't know, this car, the SL55 AMG, actually sits below the SL63 AMG, which is the top of the line full-fat version. But unfortunately in Singapore, we haven't heard that we're going to get it. So for now, this is going to be the top spec car that we have. And there are a few key new things about this new car, and one of them is that it's built on a different platform, an all-new platform, which means that the car is going to handle a lot better. And it also comes with all-wheel drive for the first time in any SL in history. So this is the very first SL to have all-wheel drive, and it also comes with rear-wheel steering. And this is also back to a soft top as compared to the predecessor's hard top, which is obviously a weight-saving feature meant to optimize performance. But without any further ado, what we're going to do for today is that we're going to take a look at the interior, and then I'm going to bring you for a fairly long and fairly detailed road test of the car, because after all, that's what the SL55 AMG is meant to do, right? It's meant to drive. So let's go. Okay, so now talking about the interior of the SL55, you've got, I think the first thing that strikes you is of course this very nice driver instrument visor that's been specially designed, and it gives you this extremely focused look to the car. And here you get the new AMG steering wheel, which of course features the double stacked controls. You've got your two selectors here. One is a drive mode selector, and one is of course your suspension and exhaust settings. You have these lovely aircon vents, which I think you have seen on most of the other Mercedes-Benz cars as well. And one of the things that I personally quite like about this car is that in this center console, this trim bit here, you've actually got this unique finish where it almost feels like a bit like a tarnished patina, and I think that's actually really cool. It does leave a bit of fingerprints though. It does print quite easily, so you might want to take care of that. Over here you've got the MBUX system, which you have seen, the portrait style system that you have seen on all current generations of Mercedes-Benz cars. And this screen in particular has an added feature, which is the ability to tilt its display angle, because this car is a cabriolet, which means that you can bring the top down, and when you bring the top down, you've got some additional sunlight hitting the screen as well. So to avoid any glare, this screen actually allows you to adjust itself to find the optimum angle where there isn't any sort of glare. Nice. Being a luxury vehicle, there are also some other nice bits to this car, and one of the things that I appreciate the most is of course the ventilated seats, which you can see here. Very nice seats here, nice sports seats that kind of hug you. These seats aren't too tight. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy, and I feel quite nicely fitted in this seat, so it's not, you know, too much. It's not overly done like some of the other cars out there. And the seat bolsters are not so pointed that when you get in and out of the car, that like, it doesn't really cause much of a difficulty as well. So I think overall this car has been calibrated quite well to a wide variety of drivers. So being a very sporty, very sleek looking car, there is obviously not a huge amount of headroom, and there is this bit of a hump here as well, I think, and it hides some of the soft top mechanisms. But what I've also discovered is that there is quite a huge range of seat adjustment, and if you're not really carrying anybody at the back, and I mean the back is pretty cramped anyway, so if you're willing to sit lower in this car, which I think you should, because it provides a much nicer driving experience, if you're willing to sit a bit lower, sacrifice the legroom at the back, then actually you've got quite a nice amount of headroom as well. So I don't think that's really going to be a problem, and if you're, you know, it just needs a little bit of getting used to. And yeah, so with that, let's go take a drive in the car, and I'll tell you what I think about how the car feels. Right, so now we are up on the roads in the SL55 notice right off the bat when you start driving the car and chucking the car around corners is that because the SL55 is built on a brand new platform, the car is a lot better to handle. And later when we get to some bends, I'll show it to you as well. And what's also interesting to note is that for the first time ever in any SL model, the SL55 AMG actually comes with rear wheel steering. So that's a first. And of course this helps you to reduce your turning radius and to give you a little bit more maneuverability around town and around tighter spaces and lower speeds. The other thing that's also interesting is that for the first time ever, the SL has been fitted with all-wheel drive. So you do get a lot more traction and grip when you are going around corners and when you are pushing the car a little bit harder. And you know, we were launching the car earlier on. So let me just get the space here. Okay. So we were launching the car earlier, and generally the engine's got acres and acres of power, you know, so much power, and it's got 476 brake horsepower, to be exact, 700 Newton meters of torque, and this is actually mated to a 9-speed AMG shift, so it's not really a dual clutch, but it is it's sort of like an electronically controlled version of a dual clutch, if you will. So what I've kind of discovered is that on launch and upon heavy acceleration, I would say that this transmission probably isn't the fastest, but it does get the job done. And I think a lot of journalists overseas have compared this car to cars like the 911, for example, or at least the 911 Cabriolet versions. And I don't think that's really a very fair assessment or a fair comparison, because I think that the SL55 it isn't a car that is purely built for performance or to cater to the performance needs of people. Rather, it is still very much a luxury vehicle, a lifestyle tool for people that perhaps just so happens to come with a copious amount of power and also pretty good handling. And I think in that sense, it fills a very unique gap in the market for people who are, you know, after something that is highly specced and is extremely capable, but it's not quite as clinical as a, you know, like a Porsche might be. And so I think in that sense, there's really not a lot of comparison points. I have a nice S-curve coming up, so I'm going to show you how that feels. Very nice grip. Very flat around the corners. Gear shifts are a little bit violent in this thing, I must say. So I'm making a 3-point turn on a fairly narrow street, and this is where the rear wheel steering really kind of helps. So obviously right now I'm driving with the top up, and what is nice to know is that this rooftop is actually, you can actually operate it while on the go. I believe it's I believe you can work it up to speeds of about 40 kilometers per hour. I could be wrong there, let me double check that. And then and if you guys know the correct answer, you can actually put it in the comments below as well. But this is a cabriolet where you can operate the rooftop while on the go, which means that you don't have to stop, get out of your car, and of course this is all electronically controllable, you know, being a luxury vehicle and all. And there are a few smart features about the soft top roof as well, because when you activate the soft top or when you bring the top down, what the car actually does is that it automatically tilts the screen for you, this MBUX system that you have here. Because it is quite a large screen, you do get a little bit, it does catch a little bit of the glare, and when you bring the top down, naturally a lot more sunlight is going to hit the screen, so it actually allows you to tilt the angle of the screen, and I can actually tilt it here as well, so you can see, and this actually helps you to find the optimum angle so that you can still see the infotainment unit while still enjoying, you know, the breeze and the sun on yourself. Although in Singapore, I find that it'll be quite hard pressed to find an occasion where you want to be exposed to the sun. In fact, I just want to hide out inside under the roof. Another thing that's also interesting to note is that this particular SL has actually gone back to a soft top. If you guys remember previous generations, or at least its predecessor, this was actually a hard top cabriolet, so it's actually a solid piece on top, but this is actually a soft top. And I think one of the reasons that it's been done is really to have a little bit of weight saving. And I think it's 21 kilograms lighter, if I'm correct, if I'm not wrong. And that is obviously something that's been done to optimize the performance of this vehicle as well. Yeah. So when you are driving around town, let me just go around. So for those of you who are familiar with AMG cars, or rather the current generation of AMG cars, you'll know that there is this drive mode selector that's right on your steering wheel, and not just a drive mode selector, but you also have another selector that lets you choose your suspension settings and your exhaust noise, if you will. And you can actually customize that and adjust that to your liking, so that's actually pretty cool. So currently now, what I am driving in is actually Sport Plus mode, and I think you can hear the engine roar as well. It's got a very, very nice sound to it. So this 4-litre V8 bi-turbo produces not so much of a scream, but in fact, I think it's a little bit more of a deep bellow. So if you just listen out right now. This it's not so shrill. Slow down for pedestrians. So going back to my point, so driving around in Sports Plus mode is really fun, and it's really the car produces a great sound, the car handles great and everything, but truthfully, on a day-to-day basis, it can feel a little bit harsh. Not just harsh in terms of the suspension setup, but in terms of your gear shifts, your engine reaction. It is a little bit violent in a good way, but you don't necessarily want it to be like that all the time. And what the car allows you to do actually is to bring the car down to a comfort mode, which is nice. Then the car becomes like perfectly tame and well behaved. But you can activate there is a dedicated button on the infotainment unit and actually on your steering wheel as well, where you can activate the louder exhaust settings or the more pronounced exhaust settings. So to put it in a very blunt way, what you get is the best of both worlds, because you get to drive the car around in comfort settings, and you still get to enjoy the noise that the car makes. And of course, the people around you and the pedestrians also get to enjoy the sound that the car makes. So I think that is really cool. But all in all, to summarize the experience of driving the SL55 AMG, and although this is a perfectly capable performance car, I still kind of feel like it does its best car to feel a lot lighter. I mean, SL does stand for Spotlight, you know. So I did expect the car to feel a bit lighter on its feet, but surprisingly, there's quite a lot of heft to this car. In fact, I think it's almost 2 tons in weight, and that's not a bad thing. You know, you don't like it's not heavy in a way where you feel it when you drive, but it does provide you some assurance. The chassis feels very, very planted. In fact, even steering weight has been adjusted to feel a little bit more hefty than other Mercedes cars we've driven recently. So all in all, I think what the SL55 or what the SL range has that perhaps a regular sports coupe does not have is definitely this lifestyle element, where it's just so nice to kind of, I mean, when the weather is nice, of course, you know, to have that top down, to cruise up on the highway, to go for a leisurely drive, feel that roar, that vibration from the engines. It's such a rewarding experience, actually. And having the SL55 provides you that kind of versatility, whether you want to use this car as a performance car. You know, I mean, this car is perfectly track ready. So if, you know, on weekends, if you wanted to use this car as a bunk, you could probably do that. But at the same time, you know, if you're just cruising around, it's also perfectly usable. It's not overly harsh like a stripped down sports coupe, and I think that really, there lies the beauty of the SL55 AMG. So if you have enjoyed this car review and you want to see more car reviews like that, in fact we have a couple of exciting ones coming up. You know, on occasion, aside from the bread and butter models that we do test as well, we do get some nicer bits of kit to play with. So actually next week we have the review of the Audi SQ8 coming up, which is pretty exciting. And in about 3 to 4 weeks, we should have the BMW M3 Touring on review as well. And that's going to be super exciting. So please subscribe if you if you want to watch more reviews like that. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with your friends. If you've got any questions about the car as well, please put them in the comments below. We'll do our best to answer them. And if not, please take care of yourself, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.